Good morning, and thank you for joining us. One of my administration's first priorities coming into office was to finally deliver results for the residents of Forest Cove. After decades of public and private neglect, the families who called Forest Cove home were living a nightmare and experiencing a humanitarian crisis. And no one should ever experience this type of crisis anywhere, and certainly not in the city of Atlanta. While this property is not a city-owned property, this is in the city of Atlanta, and it is our problem. And so I was compelled to take action with the city council. We came together alongside private and nonprofit partners. We locked arms and brought everything we had to the table to ensure these families had the support and basic dignity found in quality, affordable housing. As you see from some of the photos that we have here on the television next to us, you can just take a look at the conditions that people actually had to live in. They're simply unacceptable. Rodent and pest infestation, caved-in floors, boarded up doors and windows, sewage overflow, mold. It was simply a horror show. And if Millennia Housing Management had it their way, these families would still be living in those conditions today. Millennia was aware of even the violent criminal activity occurring on the property and chose not to take reasonable measures to protect the health, safety, and welfare of these individuals coming into the complex. These people were forced to live in substandard conditions while being concerned for their safety for their families. But with the help of our partners, the City of Atlanta successfully relocated 240 families, over 800 people, relocated them into better housing options. I'll take a moment here to recognize HUD. The fact that they took the step to abate the contract with Millennia was a significant step in getting these residents the help that they needed. And HUD then stepped in to help us relocate these Forest Cove residents. So thank you to HUD and the Biden administration for your support in these efforts. The city and the Community Foundation of Greater Atlanta continue to provide assistance to Forest Cove families, ensuring they have resources that they need. All the while, Millennia continues to shirk responsibility, consistently failing to provide residents with the federal funding they are required to provide, and leaving the property as an unsecured dumping ground and a public safety hazard in the Thomasville Heights community. And to only make matters worse, when we dug into how Millennia was treating residents right here in Atlanta, we found that the exact same issues were happening across the entire country with this operator, Millennia. For too long, it has been possible for these type of property developers to provide substandard housing to our lowest income Black residents. So let me be clear. That era in Atlanta is over.
Yes, sir. All right.
I am not content to sit on the sidelines and just allow residents to be forced to live in inadequate conditions. Nor am I content to sit on the sidelines while families across the country are dealing with the same issues with Millennia.
Yes.
You see, I sat with Millennia quite a few times personally to ask for them to address these issues. My team that's here have sat with Millennia over a dozen times or more to address these issues, and nothing, absolutely nothing has changed. They have no concern or regard for the humanity of these people. These are real lives at stake. These are real people, real kids, real senior citizens, real families. These are not just numbers on a balance sheet, Millennia. These are real people who must be treated with dignity and respect. Amen. We will do everything in our power to hold Millennia responsible and provide the residents of this city with access to safe and secure housing. And to share what the City of Atlanta and others are doing to ensure there is accountability, I want to bring up here now to speak to you Attorney Ben Crump. Ben?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for making it plain, Mr. Mayor. I'm Attorney Ben Crump, and I'm standing here with the residents of Forest Cove. And first, I want to say that the City of Atlanta and Mayor Andre Dickens got involved to help residents like Ms. Peaches here, who has lived in Forest Cove for over 3 decades. Help residents who have been displaced by millennials' poor management of Forest Cove property. Millennial is a billion-dollar housing development corporation operating 280 apartment developments in 26 cities. Simply put, the residents of Forest Cove believe Millennial put profits over safety, specifically their safety. It was heartbreaking to hear Ms. Peaches and Attorney Jones tell me about the battles that they had with Millennial for simple dignity, just to have a habitable resident where they were safe from mold and sickness from the mold, the dilapidated apartments for decency. That's what they were fighting for, just simple decency. It is alleged by the residents and community leaders that Millennial purchased properties in disrepair in areas where marginalized people, especially marginalized people of color, live, obtain government subsidies, and on promises to rebuild, they neglect the communities. It has been alleged in other pleadings and other pending litigation against Millennial that they have a pattern of neglect in their low-income housing properties across the country. This is not exclusive to just Atlanta, Georgia.
All right.
It's in cities like Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Houston, Texas, North Little Rock, Arkansas, where a resident actually died, Birmingham, Alabama, Memphis, Tennessee, Jacksonville, Florida, amongst others. And in Pulaski County, Arkansas, where that resident died, and they have filed a class lawsuit that talks about they believe that fatality was as a result of the malfeasance of Millennial. Community leaders like Jason and many others assembled here today believe Millennial has been a bad actor, that they have been taking taxpayer dollars set aside to help the Forest Cove community and have used that money, even though Forest Cove community the money was set aside for Forest Cove to help them have dignity in their living spaces. They took that money from people like Miss Peaches, and they padded their pockets and are using it to fight Mayor Dickens in the city with it, and have left the community of over 500 black school-aged children and 800 other residents and displaced them for over a year, Mayor Dickens? Right. Over a year. The city council members believe Millennial is attempting to bully the city of Atlanta by filing a frivolous lawsuit instead of doing right by this Forest Cove community. City officials have argued successfully in municipal court that Millennial has made no attempts to clean up or secure or to make ready the land for the displaced residents who should not have to live in unsafe and uninhabitable houses. You're going to hear from Attorney Jones. You're going to hear from Ms. Peaches, and you're going to hear about the conditions in which they were forced to live before Mayor Dickens and the leadership of Atlanta stepped in and said, we won't leave our most vulnerable citizens to risk their lives because this property developer won't do right. And I think we should applaud the leadership for that. Yeah. Mayor Dickens and the leadership of Atlanta won't allow the bullying to continue. The city of Atlanta has stepped up and tried to work in partnership with Forest Cove and tried to make things better. It is millennials' duty to ensure families have safe, secure, and comfortable living in their houses. We stand with the leadership of Atlanta and the residents of Forest Cove, Ms. Peaches, against Millennial to demand that they do what they promised the city of Atlanta, which is to revitalize your neighborhood, Ms. Peaches, to give it the pride that Attorney Jones and I talked about, one of the first neighborhoods in Atlanta, Georgia, where blacks could own homes. And Attorney Jones, God bless her, and the lawyers for the community who have been fighting, just fighting against this billion-dollar corporation for years to no avail. Well, you're not alone anymore, Attorney Jones. The cavalry is coming to fight with you.
Yeah. Cavalry.
After residents were relocated by the city of Atlanta, and this is the crux of the matter. After the residents were relocated by Mayor Dickens and the city of Atlanta, Millennial continued to collect rents for the residents and subsidies from HUD on behalf of the residents. While Community Foundation and the city of Atlanta paid the rents for their temporary homes that have now been going on for over a year. They have failed to pay back Atlanta, Community Foundation, and the city of Atlanta any of the money that they have collected. They have failed to pay the money back. To restore the Forest Cove community rights for people like Ms. Peaches and those 500 black children to live safe and comfortable, we will be filing a lawsuit against Millennial on behalf of the displaced residents like Ms. Peaches and the children and the 800 mamas and daddies who get up and catch the early bus to go to work. We will be filing a lawsuit on behalf of these displaced residents of Forest Cove and on behalf of the city of Atlanta for all of the funds that these land developers have collected on behalf of the Forest Cove residents. And finally, as we have articulated, this issue is not just exclusive to the city of Atlanta. Courtney, we've been talking with other city leadership in other cities where we will be bringing a class action lawsuit against Millennial, not only for the residents of Forest Cove, but residents in Memphis, Tennessee, in Jacksonville, Florida, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in Birmingham, Alabama. But I want you all to know the city of Atlanta is setting the precedent, because when we filed this class action lawsuit, Ms. Peaches has agreed that she will be the named plaintiff. So where they thought that people like Ms. Peaches didn't matter, Ms. Peaches will get the last laugh. Mayor Dickens, thank you for your leadership. Jason, thank you for your leadership.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Crump, Mayor Dickens, for your unwavering support and standing up for the residents of Forest Cove, and all the others that are here today standing with the residents of Forest Cove. Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Winston, and since my election to the Atlanta City Council, I have been inundated with calls over the horrible conditions at the Forest Cove Apartments. The stories from my constituents are absolutely gut-wrenching. Children forced to sleep in rooms with broken windows and ceilings, families resorting to using ovens for heat in the winter, and unfettered rat infestations. This is the grim reality that residents of Forest Cove have had to face. Their demands for better conditions were not met by Millennial Housing Management. The most important role that we have as public officials is standing up to protect all Atlantans. We work to seek resolutions, but Millennial Housing Management has failed to do their part. So today, we are moved to a new course of action. We are sending a resounding message to anyone looking to make a profit at the expense of Atlantans. When we find out, we will seek justice.
Amen.
This lawsuit is about our unwavering commitment to ensuring every Atlantan lives with dignity and respect. I look forward to working with the residents like Ms. Peaches, the administration, and other stakeholders to seek justice.
Yes, sir.
You cannot profit off the sufferings of Atlantans, and if you do, we will seek recourse.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you all for staying here today. At this time, I want to welcome up Attorney Ayanna Jones. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Ayanna Jones, and I work at the Atlanta Volunteer Lawyers Foundation. And it has been my honor through the Atlanta Volunteer Lawyers Foundation and all of our partners to be able to stand with the residents of Forest Cove. I myself have been in the community since 2016, and Ms. Morris is one of the first people that came to me and was willing to stand up and ask for her rights to be respected. Just to give you a perspective, my first case was an older woman, a grandmother, who was living in Forest Cove with her daughter and her granddaughter. And when she came and spoke to me, she said, I just have a little bit of mold, and I've been asking for them to just take care of the mold, and they paint it over. And I have experience. I've been working in Atlanta with low-income tenants, and I've seen mold. So I thought a little spot here, a little spot there. When I went to her home, her closet was covered in black.
My God.
Going into the home, the floor, the structure was so bad that we had to step around certain areas. The woman that came to me, the grandmother, was going through chemotherapy. And she had been told that having to live with that mold in the air was worse for her. And then you have her granddaughter. So what Forest Cove is a large number, a huge number of vulnerable residents. You have the elderly, you have disabled, you have children. Living in conditions you wouldn't want your worst enemy to live in. People never believe me when I tell them the stories about what we've seen. I've had stories of a child falling out of a second-story window because the windows were so rotted and molded that they couldn't hold the screen. I've had stories about people falling through the floor, their children falling through the floor, not to mention the number of children alone who missed school because they were having respiratory distress, infections from the mold. One mother had her baby bitten by rodents. It is something that no one should ever have to endure, ever. And yet these residents for years and years and years have had to stand there and be told they're nasty. It's their fault. They don't take care of their places. And that has never been the case. There are times when the gas company has come and cut off the gas because the piping and the connections were so bad that there was a threat of the people living in the home being subjected to gas. And I'm just so glad that we are able to stand here with all of these people behind us to finally be heard. We've been able to chip at that a little piece by piece, but that little piece doesn't always matter as much as this collective standing together and helping people like Miss Peaches to have her voice finally heard. And so she's crying for me. I'm so honored and I'm so excited to see what we can do as a team. And with that, I'm going to introduce. Yes, I have been so many things. One of the biggest tragedies is that across the street from Forest Cove was Thomasville Heights Elementary School. And Thomasville Heights Elementary School was one of the worst performing schools. And a company came in, purpose-built, and they effected a change. They helped turn around that school. And just when things were really, really picking up, the school had to close because the conditions were so bad, you could not have children living there. And so now these children and their parents and their families who had finally found a home and a place and were achieving success were now uprooted. And that's one of the worst things. Children need a good foundation. They need safe and stable homes. This is not a probable. This is a necessity. This is a basic in order to survive and thrive. And those children no longer have that. Those families no longer have that support. And the community is no longer able to stand together. And so with that, I'm going to bring on Miss Peaches, Miss Morris, to tell her story.
Y'all got to excuse me, I ain't got my teeth in my mouth. So
Take your time.
anyway, when I think about it, it hurts me. Because the kids had to suffer so much, it's so bad. We had rats, we had mildew. It was something wrong with the water. I would cry, can we get some help? So I cried so much, and everybody in the community, they would come to me and ask me, Miss Peach, can you get us some help? And I did. I came to Mr. Dickinson and his crew, and they helped us out.
Yes.
So in the long run, as I was fighting, I caught lung cancer.
Sure did.
But I became over it. But it was sad the way we had to live. It was real sad. The children, they were pitiful. So one day, I got Mr. Dickinson, and I asked him when he come out, and he came, and he seen some kids upstairs in the window. They had a cat, and I said, Mr. Dickinson, do you see that cat up there with them children? The girl said she had to keep a cat so the rats wouldn't come. It was horrible. So when I think about it, it makes me cry because we had to go through so much. We had to go through so much. And I said, I was talking to this lady who used to work in the rent office, and she used to tell me, I need to leave it alone because this man that owned Forest Cove, he was into a mafia. And she used to tell me, I need to stop and leave it alone. I told her, no, I can't. I can't. I'm gonna keep going
Amen.
till I finish the fight. So I'm hoping I finish the fight.
You will.
And I want to thank everyone for helping me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Peaches.
So as you've heard from Ms. Peaches, as you've heard from Attorney Jones, as you've heard from Attorney Crump, and as you've heard from Councilmember Winston, who represents all of the members on the Atlanta City Council, and their commitment to see this justice is served, you also see clergy behind me. The pastors and leaders in the community are behind me. Neighborhood leaders, union leaders are behind me, as well as everyone in my administration, from the COO to the solicitor to everyone that's here in the housing department. Everyone in this administration and across this city is here to fight this fight on behalf of Ms. Peaches, on behalf of 800 residents that were displaced in the city of Atlanta. And all the hundreds, if not thousands and thousands and thousands of residents across this country that are affected by the bad business conducted at Millennia. And so I'm thankful that we were able to have our residents go into safe quality housing. We use money directly from this city. We got involved right away, and Millennia refuses to pay us back. And Millennia refuses to clean up their property. And Millennia sent a frivolous lawsuit our way, but this is what's coming your way, Millennia.
We're going to get every penny back for you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Good deal. We'll take questions.
Are you seeking damages in this lawsuit?
Well, obviously, there's a finite number that this. Obviously, there'll be a finite number in the lawsuit that the city attorney will get with us on about what the city of Atlanta has taken from the taxpayer coffers that should have been paid by Millennial, because HUD gave them the money. And so we will get those numbers, but those are the easy numbers to calculate. The more difficult numbers to calculate is what Ms. Peaches and what Attorney Jones were articulating, the fact that you have people who have serious respiratory problems, serious health problems. Can you put that picture back up just for a second? Yeah, I'll go, not that one. Of the house and the roof. Yeah.
The ceiling open.
I mean, no lights. I think they had one, this one right here.
Yeah.
This one right here. Mr. Mayor, can I show him something?
Yeah. You want to
Yeah. Just think about this here, y'all. When the city of Atlanta and the public-private partnership, that can do extraordinary things. And go back to that right here. Let's stop it right here. This is what Ms. Peaches and Attorney Jones were trying to communicate to you. But as we learned as little children, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yes.
And I think, Attorney Hickson, we have a link video that we can provide to the media to show the video of what we're dealing with. And so just to look at this, it tells you it's unhealthy. But people who are most vulnerable and poor and have no voice, this is what they have to deal with when you got billion-dollar developers like Millennia who turn a blind eye and just keep collecting the profits, keep collecting the HUD checks, keep collecting the money from the city of Atlanta. Well, it stops today.
Yes.
Austin, go to the next one, too. Okay. Now, answer your question, too. At a minimum, we're talking about $10 million from the city of Atlanta in rent payments and supplies, et cetera. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just the start of things right there. So I just wanted to give you a starting number for the city. And that number escalates from there as we talk about the health conditions, et cetera. This is about, go back, Austin, that's about a 35-degree day. Broken windows, that child lives there. That child lives there. And this is where Miss Peaches was showing me a cat. Wow. And the child, I'm pointing, I'm saying, Miss Peaches, who let this kid up here? She said, that's where he lives.
They want to go show him.
This is me taking my tour in January, That's a child. And this is where this child lives. And this is the 35-degree day with broken windows all throughout the place. This could collapse at any moment.
Break it down there. Make it plain.
So Millennium has made no plans of demolishing the property, rebuilding, nothing. It's just sitting there vacant right now.
That's right. It's sitting there vacant. They were told that they had to board up the property and fence it so that individuals and people couldn't dump on it or live in there and have vagrants. And so, but they haven't done that. So not only have they taken money from HUD and not paid rents for the places that we have worked very hard to get all these families relocated into, they didn't even secure their property. It's just sitting there. It could turn into an open air drug market. It could be anything. And so we're calling millennia to the carpet to do what's right for the people of Atlanta.
Mayor Dickens, this isn't a problem that's only unique to Forest Cove. There's lots of other issues with apartment complexes across the city. I know there's limits to what the city can do in terms of renters protections, but how do you prevent something like this happening moving forward?
Well, one way to prevent it is by showing them that right now we are a team, a full-fledged team with the city attorney, with the solicitors, with our housing team, and Courtney English's team that's over here, as well as the volunteer lawyers and the city council, that we are all together committed to this. And Ben Crump. That's right. Thank you, Reverend McDonald. And everybody is focused on this same thing. We have already started to turn around others because other apartment operators that have properties that are dangerous dwellings, they've already gotten a hint. We've already sent them the messages, and we've already started to see good actors go the right way, and bad actors are now about to get even the same kind of justice.
There's also
Can I say just one thing on that? And like Reverend McDonald said, it's about setting a precedent.
Yes, sir.
You go out and you hold millennia accountable to a multi-million-dollar verdict on behalf of these black residents in Atlanta, and it reverberates all across the country. You're right, Reverend McDonald. They get the message, and so you have to thank Mayor Dickens and the leadership for saying, "Hey, we got to do something about this." I mean, and we can't take this lightly what the leadership is doing, because you know how easy it would be for Mayor Dickens and the leadership to turn a blind eye. I say, man, who really wants to challenge a billion-dollar developer? These are vulnerable people. They don't really have a voice. But no, we always have to do the right thing, even when it's not popular, even when it's going to be controversial, even when we're going to be attacked. I mean, they got a war chest to attack us with, and I'm sure Attorney Jones has seen the brunt of that war chest when they try to do things like stunt their voices, like, silence them. And that's why we have to use all our resources, a big platform. I'm talking with the HUD officials and everything, because when you have a big bully, you got to go punch that big bully and let people know you ain't scared. And millennia, we're not scared to fight for these black people in Atlanta and these poor black people all across America.
They're trying to get their 12 o'clock in. All right, I got to go get it on TV. Go hurry up.
so it kind of seems like you guys also have some backup at the federal level. Senator Ossoff is launching another investigation. Is there any coordination with the kind of top level stuff that's happening?
Yeah, absolutely. We made our reach outs to Senator Ossoff, Senator Warnock, of course, Representative Williams. They stand shoulder to shoulder with us to make sure that whatever tools from the federal government that could be used. Of course, the HUD Secretary Fudge, is someone I've worked with a lot, as you have seen, support that they've given us for developments across Atlanta. And so HUD is standing with us. They don't want millennia to continue this type of behavior across the country, and so they are working with us as well as stated, the senators and the representative.
You mentioned other cities. So far, is this class action lawsuit just on behalf of City of Atlanta residents of Forest Cove, or are there other claims at this point?
No, there will be other plaintiffs at this point. We've just began. But Ms. Peaches is going to be the first plaintiff for the class action lawsuit. They're going to have to look at this poor black woman who's lived in that property for 3 decades and give her accountability finally. That's what this is about. So she will be the first, but we believe there will be thousands of others in the lawsuit.
And just so you know, I've reached out to other mayors of those cities, and they all are saying, let's do it. So we'll see how this progresses over the next few weeks.
Time for one more.
Phoenix Ridge has filed a lawsuit in federal court against the city of Atlanta today, or October 3rd.
Which one is Phoenix Ridge? What's that?
That's Forest Cove.
Huh?
All right, and you just heard from Mayor Andre Dickens. A lot to unpack there, as you see in the lower third. Forest Cove residents filing a lawsuit against property management. The city leaders citing that they claim this property management company, corporation, I should say, put profit over people repeatedly. Mayor Dickens himself has said, during their meetings with Millennia Companies, that is the property management, by the way, that they have tried to work with them, but time and time again, there was not a successful agreement made in what the mayor has said was in the interest of providing a safe home for these residents. Now, again, this lawsuit comes after a lot of developments for this housing complex. You talk about the December 2021 decision from a judge to condemn the property, which kicked off the removal of tenants from this housing complex. Again, these tenants have cited in this news conference, as you just heard, some of them saying that they've experienced things from significant mold, sprayed through the walls, coming out of numerous parts of their home in a very jarring way, as we saw in some of these images. But then they also said that time and time again they've brought up concerns like heating issues, a lack of gas for heating, a lack of attention to broken windows, crumbling ceilings, holes in the walls, and most of all, violent crime in the area spanning more than a decade that these residents are claiming did not get addressed by property management, did not get addressed in the way that they felt protected their safety and interests. So they said that with working with the city, with working with attorneys, that they are now filing a lawsuit against Millennia Companies, citing that they put profit over people, that they failed to address these safety concerns, these issues that residents have brought up time and time again, that they were required to address as managers of the property of this Forest Cove Apartments, again in Thomasville. We have an article on our website here at AtlantaNewsFirst.com. I just want to take you through it momentarily. If you are looking to follow this story and the developments that come out of it, we're putting out all of the information we learn right here on AtlantaNewsFirst.com. You can also download the Atlanta News First app to learn more. Our reporter Patrick Quinn will have an update for you in our afternoon and evening newscasts. Have a great day.